Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. It's Ashley from the Ashe Shop, and welcome to the Ashe Shop podcast, the place for people who want to learn about the Orishas and African spiritual practices. I am Ashley, your Orisha storyteller and guide through the ins and outs of the spiritual journey. Think of this like your weekly spiritual study session. Our studies focus on the practices based within the Yoruba pantheon. So you're going to hear stories from multiple spiritual perspectives, including Isheshe, Lukumi, Santeria, and more. Every week, we're digging into a different Orisha, exploring their meaning and influence. This week, we are discussing Eshu Elegua. This is the Orisha who is always honored first and last, the Orisha who upsets the plans of both Orisha and man. He is the divine messenger, the divine trickster. So, could you believe some people might label him evil? Eshu Elegua is known by many names and by many people. We see his energy appear within many different cultures. He is associated with the colors red and black and the number 3. When it comes to things Eshu likes pretty much everything. Toys, candy, rum. When it comes to foods, he will eat chickens, he will eat corn, he will eat pretty much anything you put in front of him. Let's gain some perspective into the energy of Eshu Elegua from the book Ebora by Edison.Fatunmbi. He says that in the role of Eshu as a divine trickster, most of the anthropological literature identifies the trickster as a random form of harassment. In some academic literature, Eshu is described as evil. This description fails to appreciate the sacred function for all tricksters in all traditional cultures. The role of Eshu as trickster is to bring some of us the truth that we are all interconnected and interrelated. It is a manifestation of eternal truth that no one can be totally self-reliant. Once you have the idea that you can handle all your problems yourself, you are invoking an encounter with the divine trickster. Things occur and we don't have all the answers. We deny our vulnerability by resisting change. Our resistance is shattered and we are left with the feeling of the loss of identity. In Ifa, the force of nature that provokes this loss is called Eshu. In traditional Yoruba culture, the death of the old self is perceived as a positive experience. It is considered the foundation of all personal growth and elevation. Again, you can find that excerpt in Ebora by Ewo Falakun Fatumbi. You can see that Eshu is the Orisha that brings our prayers to heaven. He rules over communication. He plays tricks as a way of testing our character and helping us to develop better character, or what we know as Iwapele. Eshu is a very unique Orisha and has a very unique relationship with each of the different Orisha because he engages in communication. Even when we are at odds with him, we still must respect him. Even when the Orisha are aggravated with Eshu, they still have to show Eshu respect. There's a story that you can find within Alex Kuoko's African Narratives of Orisha Spirits and Other Deities that sheds some light onto how Eshu ends up becoming so important. Long ago, when creation was taking place, the Orishas were summoned by Olodumare to appear before him to receive their powers and their domains in the new world. Eshu was the first to arrive because at the time he was not occupied with anything and he had no obligations. He stayed in Olodumare's abode and helped him carve into shape the different types of beings that would populate the new world. Eshu was a quick learner and had a lot of patience, so he ended up staying and helping Olodumare for 16 years. Later on, when all of the other Orishas finally arrived to see Olodumare, they stayed for short periods of time, but just long enough to receive their powers, to be assigned their roles in the new world. And then when they all left, Eshu remained with Olodumare. So he could learn how the body parts and different things were put together and how things worked. One day when Olodumare was finished all of his work, he said, now that everything is done, Eshu, you must go into the new world. You must take your place at the crossroads. And Eshu said, what will I do there? Olodumare said, all those who look for you and all those who pass by you on their way to somewhere, they must offer you good fortunes. And all those who pass by you when they are returning from somewhere, they must offer you good fortunes. Eshu said, that is very good. Eshu went into the world and took his place at the crossroads. All the people that passed by him, go in or come in or returning from somewhere, they had to offer him good fortunes. It did not take long before Eshu acquired a sizable fortune. But Eshu said, those who are lazy know how to live by wisdom. Only those who are fools do not know how to manage the events in their lives. Until today, people still offer sacrifices to Eshu before and after an event, making this fortune even greater. This is how Eshu acquired his wealth in the world. We see in this story that Eshu was the first to be called, but he was the last to actually receive his Ashe and receive his job. And in this way, Eshu ends up making himself indispensable to Olodumare, but he also has like a little extra card in his pocket on each Orisha because he not only knows what their role is, but he saw them come into being. He understands why they're necessary and also has insight into their strengths and weaknesses. We cannot go anywhere without passing Eshu Elegua, and we must offer him sacrifices at all points. We get this energy again where Eshu is kind of like, okay, well, what does he really do? What's his job? We see another perspective of Eshu from Ochani Lili in his book Osogbo. Ochani Lili writes that although Elegua is the one who keeps Osogbo are your misfortunes, your imbalances, the things that go wrong in life. He keeps them locked up or he sets them free. His influences go far beyond this. Ramos writes, this often provocation and misjudged Orisha serves as a major promoter of harmony. When the Osogbo become restless and manage to break through, Eshu's ever watchful guard to afflict humanity and provoke chaos on the universe, he can remedy the situation. He brings matters into balance by providing the necessary guidance and suggesting the required ebos, offerings to the Orisha, that are needed to appease the antagonist that has unleashed its onslaught. Elegua promotes and restores this balance, says Ramos. He writes further. When, for a variety of reasons and misbehaviors, human beings incur the wrath of divine, including Eshu, he is obliged to provide them with guidance and direction to make amends and to atone for their misconduct through Ebo or other means. Failure to follow his guidance will incite his indifference towards the violator, something that can have dire consequences. If Elegua's advice goes ignored, he will simply step aside, in essence allowing the forces of Osogbo or misfortune, which may include disease and death, to disrupt the violator's life incessantly. Undoubtedly, Eshu Elegua keeps balance and harmony. We could understand why somebody who does not want to be accountable for their behaviors, who does not want to be accountable for their actions and take responsibility for the decisions that they make, seeing the energy that is Eshu Elegua as negative or as a resistance or as an antagonist. We as humans do not understand exactly why Elegua does what he does. We want to be able to judge things as either being good or bad, but we're seeing that Eshu is actually a bringer of harmony and not necessarily a trickster. He does not make decisions for us, but he puts us into the position to make the decisions we have to make, the decisions that will shape our experiences and create what we see as our reality. Eshu has many functions. He is the divine trickster, the messenger, the mediator, the servant to the Orisha, the king, the controller of the reincarnating Eguns. Eshu is many things. We give praise and honor and respect to the Orisha that teaches us that we cannot take things for granted. who makes wrong into right, who upsets the plans of both gods and man. When he gets angry, he weeps tears of blood. His head is shaped as sharp and pointed as a blade, who beats up those who offer him bad sacrifices and who buys things at the market without paying. The owner of the Crossroads, Eshu Elegua. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. The books used today can be found on the book list at the AsheShop.com, where you can also register for classes, book a personal reading, and stock up on your spiritual bath and body products. Next week, we will be discussing the spiritual father of the white cloth, peaceful and patient Orisha, Obatala. Thank you so much for visiting the Ashe Shop. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Oh.